year, first meeting, and hope we can get right through to 2028. But we'll just have to cross those bridges when we get to it. So let's give it all until whatever happens. Yep. So welcome, and we'll lead in with Karakia, please.
He karakia timatanga, wakataka te hau ki te uru, wakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā tala tala ki tai, kia ia ki ana te atukura, e tio, e uka, e ohu, tuturu, o uti wakamawa, kia tina, tina, hui tāki.
Thank you. We have Councillor Hughes on Zoom. And hopefully Marie will keep an eye out if they put your hand up, or just even if you just yell out if we're not seeking your attention. Susan, please. And we've got Councillor Bingham that is an apology. She was to be on Zoom, but unfortunately she's in an area where the cell phone coverage is very, very poor. So if we can,
You're right.
so if I'll just move those apologies. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Alan. All those in favour say aye. Against carried. Okay, so now confirmation of the minutes. That's on page 6 there of the last meeting we had in December 9. So is there any changes or anything there that anyone wants to make any amendments to? No?
Maybe move.
Okay. So we have a mover and a seconder for those of the true and correct record, please. Alan and Jonathan, thank you. Good morning, Craig. You're only 2 minutes late. That's not too bad. So all those in favour say aye. Aye. Against carried. We're just up to the financial report, tab 6, Craig. So we just moved the minutes, and we've got an apology from Benita. She can't get cell phone coverage, and we've got Susan on online. Okay, so we'll move on to the financial report, and we've got the wonderful Amy to present that. So if you could come forward, that'd be great.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Right. Yep, I've got the November financial and operational report for you. Just noting with the Christmas break there, our December report just missed the agenda by a couple of days, so the next month you'll have 2 lots of financial reports. The position at the end of December is very similar to November, tracking 1.4 million ahead of budget, and noted there on some of those larger differences, and also the 2 renewal of leases this month. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, is there any questions from the floor? No. Just on the renewal of the leases.
Yes.
What term are they?
These are both 10-year leases.
Both 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So I dare say the lease is relevant to that. There'd be lease changes, would there be, through that 10-year period?
Chair, we have a range of leases. They're all perpetual rights of renewal, Glasgow type leases. A good chunk of them are on 21-year terms, but we do have a few on shorter terms, and these 2 of those. What you tend to see happening is, particularly on those longer leases, is the first 7 years works and it's quite expensive. The next middle 7 years is reasonable, and the last 7 years is quite favourable for the lessee. So they do vary considerably, but these 10 years tend to have less changes in them. But there'll be the biggest change will be the rental amount.
Okay. All right. No other questions? Okay. I'll move the recommendations on page 9. Do we have a seconder for that, Craig? Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Aye. It's carried. Okay, so now we'll go on to the tab 7, the quarterly report. And Amy, you're in the box seat again.
Yes, so noting there for the quarter ended 31 December, no areas of concern, and just 2 performance measures is orange indicated there with the formation of the Waitara River Committee and the community engagement measure. Nothing else to add from me. Mike, have you got anything further?
No, Chair. There's no surprises in there. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so any questions? Goodness, you're very quiet for the new year. Are you actually there? Are you awake? Jonathan, you're going to.
Sorry, did you say something?
You're going to move the quarterly report, aren't you? On
Yes,
page,
happy to move that.
38. Okay, Alan, will you second?
I will do.
Okay, all those in favour say aye. Against, carried. Okay, so now we move on to the risk management report, and Bronwyn, you take the front seat. And I think I just asked if you could expand on that matrix.
So thank you for the question. I was just wondering if you could bring up the PowerPoint. So I've just popped a couple of slides together because I thought these visuals would be helpful.
I've just asked Bronwyn to elaborate a little bit more on the matrix, the way it's sort of set up. I wasn't quite fully understanding of it, so it might only be me, but I thought I'd ask the question anyway.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, again, thanks for the question because it's good to get this inquiry and the understanding of the register we're using. So we've taken the opportunity to upload the corporate risks into our OPAL, which is our register for managing right across the whole organisation, not just risk, but all our strategies. So the view that you're seeing here is what you had in your report, and this was prior to the Q2 reports coming through. We only uploaded these risks after the beginning of the financial year. So there was little movement to show at this point. So if we flick to the next slide, please. You'll now see there's quite a considerable amount of movement in our risk review, which is great to see. Just highlighting, as I did in the report, that the risk level heading at the top is the initial risk assessment and the residual risk is fairly self-explanatory, that's following mitigations. So if we just flick to the next slide, please. So what we have the ability to do is also show you a bit of a heat map. So you'll see that as of June 2025 through to the end of the calendar year last year, that's roughly how our risk distribution looked. And I'll put some more explanation to that in a minute. The overdue risk that was sitting there at that point was 1297, which is the changing policy and regulatory environment and risk, which for obvious reasons was under review. So if we shift to the next one, you'll now see this is a view of this calendar year. So as of the start of this year, how our risk reviews are looking. And what I've highlighted there is our extreme and high risks as being assessed currently, and there's a couple of overdue actions that are sitting there that I'll put some explanation to for you in a minute. So if you want to just flick to the next slide, please. So this now highlights our current high and extreme risks in their initial state, and I can tell you that risk 1284, 1291, 1292 and 1301 are still rated high. Everything else has been pulled back into a moderate risk status currently. The high risks and extreme risks, as outlined in our risk management framework, are under a quarterly review status. Some of the other risks are, I guess, being considered by the risk owners as to whether they want to still report on a quarterly basis. So it's good conversation, it's good thinking around our risk management strategy, and we'll keep evolving, and as the reporting comes through, I'll be able to update you on what the changes are. So if we just flick to the next slide, you can see here that currently our extreme rated risk, and it's before and after state, so you can see that's a little bit small, but the purple dot there is keeping up with technology developments was initially rated extreme, and with the mitigations in place it's pulled back to high. So we're getting some really good detail coming through in our register now, which is being monitored closely. And the overdue risk is still sitting there around the policy and regulatory environment changes that are occurring. So, and if we just flick through to my last slide, sorry, there are notes to go there. Oh, that's all right. No, that's all right. I'll just talk to those. So the Q2 reviews are now complete as of the end of January. The Q3 reviews are due in April 2026. Some ownership and actionees are still being adjusted as to who owns the risks and who are the key drivers and actionees of these actions associated with mitigations and controls. And like I said before, some review periods are still being adjusted and looked at whether they need to be on a quarterly basis or a 6-monthly basis. And I'm just keen to hear from this committee as to the best form of reporting going forward. My focus will be on high and extreme risks, any new, any emerging, any drastic shifts or in those levels of risk. So hopefully that helps explain the matrix. Questions?
Okay, any questions? No other questions for anybody? I just wonder on the matrix here that's presented to us, how do we pick up a substantial risk from that? You've got a summary there, but you sort of highlighted some areas which I didn't pick up on this.
Yes.
How do you are going to present those risks more in depth to this committee?
I think, like I've just said, my focus will be on a high and extreme risk, so I can give you, it's getting the right level of information to you as a committee, and I guess I'd need a little bit of guidance from the committee as to whether I'm going far enough or too far. But we will be focusing on those high and extreme risks in the first instance and showing you any changes in mitigations or controls in those areas. Yeah, I guess that the new and emerging risk space is an area to be monitored closely. So if things pop up in the quarter, then that will be something that would be added to the report.
Okay, because we do need to be made aware of those, that risk factor.
Yeah. I'm absolutely happy to be challenged by the committee. That's the whole purpose of me providing a report.
We don't want to challenge you, we just want the information.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Chair, as we continue to work on risks and do deep dives and improve our understanding of those risks and put mitigations in place, we'll target that reporting back through to this committee to give you that flavour of what's been going on. What you will, for instance, the workshop we did before Christmas on the annual plan, we spent quite a bit of time talking about the risks around dividends and resource consents revenue. That's a direct driver coming out of the risk register, but it's also dealing with that in the way that we deal with those risks in our normal day-to-day businesses, how we manage those risks. So you might not see something occurring with a risk hat on it, but that's exactly where it's being driven from.
I'm just sort of cautious about it because that's the question that I've been asked each year from the auditor is how we're managing the risk, overall risk. And I know we're putting a lot more effort into that, so we just want to make sure that, hey, we do have that whole matrix looking at this side of it as well as the financial side or any other risk that may develop.
Absolutely.
Because that's a question that just keeps on coming up.
Yeah,
So
I think if
it satisfies me, hopefully I can satisfy them that we're doing everything we can.
Yeah, thank you,
Ellen.
Mr Chair. Hopefully
I'll
the system now that is in place, there is a lot more regularity on reviews and pulling in the information that's relevant across the organisation to fit within that risk assessment. So.
Okay. Through you, Chair, I found that those coloured diagrams and things were trying to struggle on how I should be reading them and what I should be taking notes of. So to me it was fairly relevant what they had in them.
Okay.
But I did like the way it was reported last triennial, where we saw shifts or changes in what was happening.
Okay.
So we could see where the improvements were in the different areas.
Okay.
And I don't tend to see that now.
Okay.
So it would be nice still to see some of that sort of stuff, as opposed to, I know the high risk stuff should be highlighted to us.
Yes.
Even some of that lower level stuff, that to see trends to make sure they're trending in the right direction, whether it's accidents, whether it's injuries, whether it's those sorts of things. It's quite nice just to keep a bit of a handle on that and not lose sight of the work going on in that area, to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons I asked Bronwyn sort of covers around this, because it's about working together and her guidance and giving her guidance as well of what we want presented, so we can go out there and make sure we're doing the job right.
Chair, there's always a careful balance there between hitting the strategic, the governance type issues and roles that we want versus the more operational nature, and we've made a deliberate move to become more strategic, more governance focused. If we've gone a step too far, then maybe we drag a little bit more of that operational stuff back in. But
yeah, I think just let it roll and see, just how we go coming forward, because we can make changes through. So, what you're doing is really good, and we're just sort of tighten up on that, or deliver it in a way that we can understand it.
Absolutely.
Alan.
I was happy with Mike. We rolled it back a little bit and see where it heads.
yeah, we won't go back into the shreds of stats and all the rest of it. But if we're giving trends and a bit of data that is supporting
if
those
there is
trends.
a trend or something that has sort of gone a bit obscure, it'd be nice to know about it.
And that's what I think we're here for, is if there's anything untoward, we just want to know about it, and then so we can fully understand where we are. Okay, is there any other questions? Susan, you happy? Yep, she got a thumb up. Okay, so Susan, under that, would you like to move the recommendation on page, whatever page it is, I've lost the page. 95. Yes?
Happy to do that.
Okay. Craig?
Yep.
Thank you. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
It's carried. Okay, so we'll move on now to Mike Spiggy, the civic software, the software
Regional
report.
Software Holdings Limited. Chair, and before I commence, I'll note that for both this item and the next item that I'm a director on the board of Regional Software Holdings Limited and a trustee of the Taranaki Stadium Trust. So this is, we completed the annual audits of the annual audit of Regional Software Holdings Limited, and the annual report were completed by the statutory deadline of 30 September last year. Unfortunately, we then went into election mode and Christmas mode, so we've only just circled back to bringing these reports in front of you. RSHL continues to grow and develop into this national shared services entity for the regional sector, and primarily focused around providing shared services to the sector through Te Uru Kahika and the Iris Next Gen Datascape regulatory software product, which is, as we speak, heading towards the first implementation down in Otago. So everything's going well in the 25-26 year. They achieved their goals per the statement of intent. The issue that the company is starting to grapple with now is around all the simplifying local government changes and how we can continue to be effective for the regional sector, and it might actually be the wider local government sector in the future, but the board's starting to do that thinking, that strategic thinking ahead of the next statement of intent, which you'll see at your next executive meeting. Happy to answer any questions, Chair.
Okay, any questions from anybody? Okay, thank you, Mike, for that report. I'll move the recommendation on page 95. Have a seconder. Craig, all those in favour say aye. It's carried. Okay, so now we'll go into item 10, the Taranaki Stadium Trust Annual Report. Mike, again, please.
Chair, so similar sort of process to Regional Software Holdings Limited. This is the audited 24-25 annual report for the Taranaki Stadium Trust. The highlight for the year was the completion of the repair and rejuvenation project at the stadium and having it fully operational again. Focus for the trust moving forward is now on new asset management plans and strategic plan for the stadium moving forward. Happy to answer any questions, Chair.
Alan?
Will those strategic plans and asset management plans be out before we set our LTP? Hopefully.
Chair, yes, he said cautiously.
Well,
that's the intent anyway, Chair.
It would be nice to know the direction that's heading regarding what is required.
Yeah. New Plymouth District Council is embarking on a wider piece of work around the strategic directions on most of its venues and what needs to occur at each venue and the event strategy and all the rest of it to ensure that there's no duplication of services at any of the venues and that the right events are going to the right venue. That's my only note of caution is that work needs to be completed so that we're not doing the Stadium Taranaki work in isolation from the rest of the venues. But that is the current intent.
You're probably always going to have that little bit of conflict though, aren't you? Because there's so many venues that especially the corporate side of it, upstairs and that, probably going to be competing with other areas as well. Not the grounds, but the corporate side of it. Okay, so is there any questions on that? Okay, so the recommendations on 154, I'll move. Jonathan, would you like to second?
Yes, happy to.
All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. Okay, Mike, you're getting to the end. Item 11 on page...
Chair,
page numbers are gone.
So this is the statement of intent for Civic Financial Services for if we wish to give feedback. We are an absolute minority shareholder. I think, in fact, we're the smallest shareholder. We've got 1,000 shares in the company. It's per our investment policy. We do consider the statement of intent in the annual report, but historically we haven't spent a lot of time and put a lot of effort into it. But I'm happy to take any feedback and provide that feedback on the statement of intent or answer any questions, Chair.
Happy to move the recommendation.
Yeah, and I'll second it. So all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Righto, Michael, now the big one, the accommodation update, page 189.
Chair, so this is the open part of the meeting. So this is the what we're happy to share in the open public environment. So we've given you an update of the building there and how it's progressing. The work is going nicely. There's one or two issues around timing, which we'll cover off in the public excluded. But other than that, the project is progressing well.
Yeah, looking pretty good outside Steve's windows with the roof and everything on. Just got to get some windows on it now.
I think the Chief Executive will be quite pleased when it's finished and the noise level drops in his office.
Okay, is there any questions in this part of the report? Okay, I'll move the recommendations. Do I have a seconder?
Happy to.
Craig, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
That's carried. Okay, so now we'll move into public excluded. I'll move the public excluded. Do I have a seconder, Jonathan?
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Against,
Aye.
carried. Okay, so we'll go into the accommodation update.
Just wait.
Oh, sorry.